Welcome to the Cybersecurity Sales Made Easy podcast, where you get real-world growth and mindset hacks, all designed to accelerate your journey to become a cybersecurity hero for your small business clients. And now, here's your host, Cybersecurity Sherpa, Jennifer Bleam.
Hello, and welcome to today's episode where we are talking about knowledge. Now, if you have been around this globe for any length of time, you have probably heard the old saying that knowledge is power. Well, I am here today to tell you that knowledge is not power. Now, how can I prove that? Well, here's the deal. We all have a lot of knowledge. Like, we know we should be saving for a rainy day fund. We know that we should be following up with our prospects 7 times, 12 times, 20 times, whatever today's particular flavor of the month is for how many times we should follow up with prospects. We all know we should be exercising and drinking less coffee and maybe drinking less cream in our coffee, less sugar, less binging on Oreos and watching Netflix. And we all also know that we're supposed to have multi-factor authentication turned on, right? And I'm not going to make you raise your hand and say, which one are you guilty of? If it was me, I would have to be totally honest and say I am guilty of the Oreos and Netflix. That is my weak link. I just love Oreos. I can eat them by the handful. And I know they're not good for me. And just like you know things that you should do and you don't do it. And so that's how I can say knowledge isn't power. It is the implementation of that knowledge or acting on that knowledge that is power. So what does this have to do with you when you are looking at becoming an MSP or an IT service provider that has a focus on cybersecurity? Well, it is simply this. Make sure that you are not collecting knowledge for the sake of knowledge. Make sure that you are planning to implement that knowledge. Here's what I mean. Whether you are planning to call up a vendor to talk to them about a solution, or you're planning to attend a webinar, even if it's one of my webinars, or if you're planning to maybe pick up a book on sales or something of that nature, and you're doing that in order to get some knowledge, make sure that you have a question you want to get answered, or make sure that there is a specific gap in your knowledge that you are going to use that tool to patch. So you're using that tool to bridge the gap. Then, if it is a 60-minute webinar, block off 90 minutes. There's 2 reasons for that. Number one, 90 minutes is a really big ask. And so it's going to make you pause and say, is this webinar really something that is worthwhile of my 90 minutes? So that's number one. That's going to kind of trick your brain into having a bit of a governor. Should I really dedicate 90 minutes to this webinar? Now, why 90 minutes when it's only a 60-minute webinar? And if you're like a lot of people, you show up about 5 minutes late, you bail about 20 minutes early or maybe 10 minutes early. So that hour webinar is really only 45 minutes or so of your calendar. So that 1 hour webinar, 45 minutes of your time. Why am I saying to allow 90 minutes? Because if you're going to implement, if you're going to take action, it really needs to happen right after the webinar. Even if all you do is say, here is the action I'm committing to taking. I'm committing to reaching out to the vendor. I'm committing to taking some action that was offered on the webinar. I'm committing to reading a book that they mentioned. Whatever the action is that you have committed to taking, spend some time to diagnose what that is and then put that on your calendar. Maybe it's not till next week that you can actually take action, but give yourself some buffer, because otherwise what happens is you attend that 60-minute webinar, you disconnect, you hang up the phone, and then immediately the world falls into crisis because everything started falling apart while you were away, while your door was closed for that 60 minutes. And in a day or two, that webinar is completely out of sight, out of mind. Same thing for trade shows, same thing for books. Why are you attending that trade show? What's the problem you're trying to solve? What's the question you're trying to get to the bottom of? Maybe there's a technical question you have about a tool, piece of hardware, a vendor, how things play together. Whatever that question or those questions are, make sure you go to the trade show with an agenda and get those things checked off. Same with a book. Stop reading books just to simply say, I read 27 books this year, or I read 5 books this year. I would rather you read one book that solved a problem that you had than hear you say, I read a book a month for the last year. So that is my admonition to you today, is to take action on the knowledge that you are getting, because it's not enough to simply have knowledge, or we would all be super skinny, in shape people, and Oreos would go out of business. Thankfully, Oreos are in business. We can have that guilty pleasure from time to time, but I've just proven to you that knowledge alone is not power. Knowledge is only power when you act on it. Now, if you are at the point in your journey towards becoming a cybersecurity hero for your clients, and you're not sure what action to take, and you're a little bit, maybe a little paralyzed, a little bit in overwhelm, I would love to have a conversation with you. Go out to mspsalesrevolution.com/hero, and let's get on the phone and see if we can get you unstuck and making the type of action that you know you need to make in order to take all of the knowledge you have, put it into practice, and help secure your small and medium-sized business clients. That's it for now. We will talk soon.
To learn more about how you can become a cybersecurity hero for your clients, request your hero assessment today. mspsalesrevolution.com/hero.